You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my Pride Series review for 1993's The Wedding Banquet. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. The Wedding Banquet is a 1993 romantic comedy from director Ang Lee. Wei Tung and his boyfriend live happily as a gay couple in New York City. Though Wei Tung has not been open about his sexuality to his Taiwanese parents, and he ultimately decides to appease their wish for him to have a traditional Chinese wedding by marrying Wei Wei, his female tenant who is desperate for a green card. But this simple arrangement turns into a lavish debacle when his parents come to America and plan an extravagant wedding banquet. So the wedding banquet was another first-time watch for me in my 2025 Pride series. And I knew I really wanted to check this out because I actually viewed the 2025 remake adaptation that was released and had to see the original work from master director Ang Lee. Now, I was a little bit nervous because I didn't love the 2025 film. And although Ang Lee is a master, particularly in his other queer work, he also has some very questionable films in his filmography. Thankfully, though, I ended up loving The Wedding Banquet, far superior to the 2025 iteration, and actually quite different in most aspects. 1993's version gives us a really heartwarming, endearing, heartfelt, and authentic account of this farce of a wedding. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, my biggest positive is that most of our characters actually feel really grounded, while they have over the top or exaggerated aspects to them, because at the end of the day, this is a farce. Each of them have humanity to them, and you really understand these kind of human struggles that are going on. I particularly loved Wu Tang's parents, his dad especially, which was not something I was anticipating. I thought these two characters were really well handled and fleshed out beautifully throughout the narrative. I also love that while everybody agreed to this big old farce, we're all playing along, it's really tearing everyone apart. And I think that that type of internal drama with each and every player of this game was interesting to watch. I think you also really feel the connection between Wei Tung and Simon, our central actual couple here. I think they're adorable together. They're really cute and they have a great chemistry. I think Wei Wei comes off as a very likable character by the end, although some things in her storyline I didn't love. I think the actress, particularly, does a fantastic job in keeping her likable to the audience. And it's a really fun farce, much in line with something like The Birdcage, which is another big comedic queer farce of the 90s. When it leans into that nature of comedy storytelling, it works so well. Between the pictures, the apartment decoration, the actual wedding banquet itself is outrageous and hilarious. And then it ultimately comes down to some really poignant conversations by the end. The third act is what really cemented my love for this film because it handles so many delicate interpersonal relationships really, really well. The dialogue here is very well written and well handled between these characters. It all felt really realistic, but handled with care. And that's where the father in the situation really gets his chance to shine. And in comparing it to the 2025 version, having it sparsed down to literally just one woman with two men rather than these two interconnected queer couples actually was a huge benefit. I think it gets way too sloppy in the new version, having these two couples participate in this. Although I love all of the actors involved and wanted that to work so well. But really, where this one shines and the new iteration doesn't so much is that heart. And in the comedy, I think this one is genuinely funnier in most respects. Now, the one aspect I do think the new film handles much better, actually, is the baby, which is going to lead me into my negatives when it comes to the wedding banquet. So, the new film sets up this adoption storyline, this lesbian couple who wants a child, and the drunken hookup that leads to the child more or less feels very consensual. Heat of the moment. Cool. And they had laid the groundwork of this lesbian couple wanting a baby and really kind of established that throughout. It actually was the main purpose of pushing forward with this farce. Actually, a nicely laid out plot line for the film. The 1993 version, oh, not so much. I actually do not like that plot line at all. I thought they just brought that up for the new one because it comes in so late in the game and it kind of feels like a sexual assault in the 1993 version and is not treated as such. Plus, it leads to this family dynamic that I don't think works. It leads to the big rom-com fight between our main couple, again, that I don't think works. Everything revolving around the plot line where they sleep together, she gets pregnant after one night sleeping together, and there is a baby coming, does not work in the slightest to me in the original film. And the way the relationship between Wei Tung and Simon handles all of this drama, it's so sudden, it's so dramatic that I was a little bit taken aback. I also understand the father's reasoning and don't totally dislike his reasoning for not acknowledging his son in his final revelation and only talking to Simon about it. I just kind of question that choice. I wish we had a closure between the father son rather than father and son's boyfriend. But overall, I really enjoyed the wedding banquet. I think Ang Lee clearly really understood queer relationships early in his career, and he crafted another authentic, beautiful little farce of a comedy here that when it leans into that farce nature works really well, and it all opens up to a very heartfelt, poignant conclusion. Unfortunately, it's a very difficult film to watch. So if you also watched the 2025 version and want to go see the original, you're going to have to do quite a bit of hunting because this is not readily available like anywhere, which seems wild considering they just released a remake. But if you're able to get your hands on a copy, if you're able to find it somewhere across the World Wide Web, definitely give this one a chance. I highly recommend it over its 2025 counterpart if you can find it. So, that was my review for The Wedding Banquet. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos, including each and every one of my Pride Month series of reviews. Also, make sure to join in on the discussion. Have you seen Ang Lee's The Wedding Banquet? Let me know all of your thoughts and comments either in that comment section down below, or you can hit me up over on Blue Sky or Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.